Hello, this is Joe Cooper, and this will be another edition of the Sports Talk SSP podcast. Today I am here with
It's Oscar Villalon.
Oscar Villalon. It's great to have you here. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you do, and a little bit about your relationship to sports in general?
In general, what I do is I'm the editor of a literary magazine called Ziziva. It's here in San Francisco. But I've always been, like so many Americans, a lifelong sports fan. And I worked for years at the Chronicle. And, working at the Chronicle as a copy editor and editor, all the sports stuff kind of rubs off on you.
Yep. Sounds like a lot of fun. So I think the first thing that we're going to get into here is you're wearing the hat right now, I think.
Yes.
It'd be great to talk about the Golden State Warriors, what's going on with them. Just came off a 5-game losing streak, but bounced back, and now they won 2 straight. What do you think they need right now in terms of like winning more?
They need Draymond, lots of Dre, lots of minutes from Draymond Green. They need Wiseman to eventually show up. I think he's been doing pretty well down there in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, I think he just played his first game.
Yeah, so you're going to need Wiseman, and then everyone else keep doing what they're doing. Clay keeps getting better. Wiggins seems to be back on his game, and Kuminga. Woo. If the Rook could keep going to where he's going, I think they're going to be fine. I mean, that was a really bad losing streak. I think Klay Thompson talked about that and said a lot of that had to do with him. People forget Klay's been gone for like 3 years.
Yeah.
So he's just finally getting the groove of things. We're getting closer to the playoffs. Teams tighten up, so Klay's seeing different stuff that he already knows, but it's just he's a little rusty, and so he's off a little bit. And that being off your reads for a couple of seconds, that can make all the difference, especially when Draymond's not in the game. But once you get Draymond in there, and once Klay doing his thing, I think they're going to be fine. They're obviously getting into the playoffs. Once they get in, let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. They most definitely need Draymond, not only for the defense, but also in the rebounding. Nikola Jokic with an insane monster game on the glass last night, but they still somehow pulled it out. But in terms of like a bigger picture, like getting into the playoffs, how deep do you think this team will get if they have a healthy, full roster?
I mean, if they're healthy and they're playing to the best of their ability, I mean, you got Klay going at 100%, they should, get into the conference championships easy. I mean, who's the competition right now?
I mean, you got the Suns with only 13 losses on the season.
But Chris Paul's out, right?
Yeah, he is.
That's brutal.
You'd think it would be, but it hasn't been.
Well, once you get, wait till you get to those playoffs and all those minutes. All those minutes that someone, Booker could be resting, he can't be resting because Paul is not there.
Yeah.
All these things take a toll. The poor Lakers forget about it.
Well, I wouldn't forget about it just yet. I personally think they can make like a little upset in the first round.
Sure. I mean, anything's possible. But, once you start getting past, you look at Denver, you look at Utah, you look at the Suns. I mean, the Warriors look great.
Yeah.
They look in fantastic position. And let's see. Let's see how they close out the season. Let's see how they do in that first, divisional round. That could tell us, this could be a straight ahead run for them until they play, whoever in the East, probably the Bucks, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think the East is really up for grabs right now. Honestly, I mean, besides the teams that are like for sure out of it, like the Magic and like other teams at like the bottom of the barrel, I think it's really up for grabs. I think the Nets could totally make a deep playoff run. I think the Sixers could. I think the Bulls could. There are so many teams in the East that could go the distance. What do you think gives that one team the edge in the playoffs?
It's going to be lack of injuries.
Yeah.
You look at Philly. What's the first thing you think about Philly? Harden does not look fit. And now is not the time to get in shape. Mm-hmm. So that hurts them. You look at the Bulls. I mean, they look fantastic.
Yeah.
Up and down. DeMar DeRozan, my fellow Trojan, just having just a career year.
Yeah.
I mean, nuts. He's never played this well.
He has not, no.
He looks phenomenal. I like the Bulls a lot. I mean, but I like the Hawks. Any of these teams, I think it's going to be injuries. It really, really is. Yeah. If you're Philly, you got to be worried about Harden. You got to be worried about Embiid. He's a big man. That's a lot of miles on those, on those knees, and anything could happen. Same thing. Same thing. Look with Brooklyn. KD gets hurt.
He does.
These are just all realities. I think the team that's the least banged up, I think is got. That's why when you look at Milwaukee, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean it. In the playoffs, especially, it's going to be tough to stop Giannis.
I don't know if you can do it.
It's going to be pretty tough. I think if the Bucks can get Chris Middleton to what he was doing in last year's playoffs, it would be over because that inside-outside game would just be too much.
And now they got the Bucks have got their Rondo. Mm-hmm. They got Grayson Allen.
Yeah,
who's just such a horrible person, but he does the same thing that Rondo does. He breaks your mental game. Mm-hmm. You're going to have guys going to be playing emotional because he's such a tool. Because he's mentally disruptive.
Yes.
And so if you don't have guys that are focused and just taking care of business, he just gets under your skin and he can give the Bucks that edge to where you do something stupid.
Yeah.
You're going to do something or just if you don't do something stupid in terms of a technical, you're just off your game because this guy just talks so much smack and you just hate him so much you're not focusing.
I feel like I definitely see that. I can see I think that is most prominent in teams that are younger. I think that's definitely I think that would definitely work against teams like the Bulls, for instance, who have a bunch of young guys.
Yeah, or the Hawks.
Yeah,
absolutely. Can you imagine? If you're Trey down there in Atlanta and Grayson's getting your grill, God, who would tolerate that?
I would compare it a little bit to Patrick Beverley, only in the sense where if he plays against veterans, he plays against guys like Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And he goes up and he talks smack to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant will look down at him and he will stare him in the eyes and he will say, "I'm going to hit the next shot that I shoot in your face." Yes. And he will do it.
Yeah, but Pat Bev is a way better player. That's the thing. He's a much, much better player than Allen is. And I think, but the fact that they have that sort of guy on that team just gives them another dimension that they really, I don't think they had before. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if they have to play the Bulls in a series, what happened with Caruso, that's going to be weighing on everyone.
Oh, of course.
It's going to be really tough. We already saw that the Bulls lost their composure.
Yeah.
With that foul with the elbow to the temple. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, I do like the Bucks. I think Giannis, with deference to Steph, mm-hmm. He might be the best player right now in the league.
I agree. I think for the East, I definitely think the Bucks could be a standout team. I think two other teams that I can definitely see making a deep run are the Nets, and I feel like the Nets could get further if Seth Curry, one, plays like he played over the past couple of games, and two, if Ben Simmons comes back and he just lights it up. Because I feel like he's such an unknown right now, and I feel like it can only I feel like expectations are way lower than they actually should be, because Ben Simmons, we saw him last year. He was he played pretty badly in the playoffs, but he was a good player. Like, regardless of the fact that he can't shoot from outside the 3-point line, I think he's a solid player, and if he can play well for the Nets and get the ball moving and be that playmaker guy he was for the Sixers, I think it'd be pretty insane what they could do.
Absolutely. The thing with Ben Simmons, and I think this is the thing that what Dwayne Wade was saying, and a lot of other people are saying, actually, you got to know how to use him. Mm-hmm. He's not a good shooter. He's never going to be able to shoot the floor, ever. Mm-hmm. But he can drive the lane. He could get you the dunk and the layup. Absolutely. The only thing Ben Simmons has to work on is his free throw shooting. Yeah. That's it. Because he's going to get to the line over and over again because he drives the lane. If he could get his free throw percentage to somewhere around the low 80s, this guy is going to be huge.
He is.
Because he's going to get his points no matter what. But the problem is that you can't make Ben Simmons into something he's not. He just can't shoot the floor, man. He doesn't have a shot. But you know what? Magic Johnson didn't have a shot.
He didn't.
No, so he did not. That's right. But he was a good free throw shooter. Yeah. So he just he'd get to the charity stripe and then he would drive the lane. You couldn't stop that, man. When he was driving the lane, get his dunk, get his layup. That was it. Yeah. And I think that's if Ben Simmons could figure out with Steph Curry, who's one of the top 5 shooters right now.
Yeah, his percentage is over 40 at least. I think.
Lord. So with KD,
it'd be pretty tough to stop.
And if Durant if you let him take over a game like he wants to take over, and you're collapsing two guys on KD, and you're going to leave Seth Curry open, or you're going to leave Simmons open, off a rotation where he could drive to the bucket. Yeah, you got problems.
No, because that's exactly why I feel like the Nets made a good decision trading away Harden there, because we saw last year's playoffs when Kevin Durant wants to win a game. We saw against Philadelphia a couple days ago when the Nets played Philadelphia for the first time after the trade. Kevin Durant just decided we're not going to lose this game and put on an absolute show. He did the exact same thing against the Bucks in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But I mean,
he's phenomenal. And think about this too. What did you trade for when you got Simmons and you got Seth Curry, right?
Yeah,
you traded away an ego.
Mm-hmm.
You traded away James Harden, who in truth never wanted to be in Brooklyn. He wanted to be with his boy Dave Morey down there in Philadelphia. That's where he'd always wanted to be, right? But now it's a much easier show to run because you're only talking about Kyrie and Durant.
Yeah.
Right? And now chasing Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think whatever ego he's got, it's got to be fragile at this point. And Seth Curry, who's a utility guy.
Yes.
So now you don't have to worry about, three, giants in the locker room. There's only two.
Yeah.
Which is plenty. That's all. It's like
that's all you need.
It's like Kobe and Shaq, and then everybody else.
Yes.
So if you got Kyrie and you got KD, then that's pretty much all. And then everyone else is a role player. And if Ben Simmons can, figure this out, my goodness.
Yeah. No, I think the Nets, the Bucks, and then the other team that I was thinking about that I think could be like a dark horse team, because I wanted to make sure that because the higher seed isn't going to win every series. They might, but I feel like every year there's always that one team that's going to at least get through the first round, and I think that this year that team is going to be the Miami Heat. I think their experience in the playoffs, even in the bubble games.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Butler he's playing really well right now. I think I could see them at the 6th seed beating a 3 seed easily. It just depends. I think it really just depends this playoffs on the matchups and if the teams weaknesses, like the teams that they're playing against, if their strengths can just completely topple the other team's weaknesses. It's all matchups in the playoffs.
Jimmy Butler's fierce.
Yeah.
And he's got there's so many good players around him in Miami. Mm-hmm. A lot of those guys are really unsung. If Miami was better, we know all about them. Not to say, they're still very good. They just the potential there isn't untapped. What one thing we should talk about though, and I totally forgot about this when we're talking about the West, and I don't know why, and it's disrespectful, but boy, Ja Morant.
Oh my goodness,
Ja Morant. I'm not going to sleep on that guy in the finals. I don't know. I would not feel comfortable if the Warriors have a division series against that team.
Not at all. And that's likely what is going to happen regardless of whether the Warriors get the 2 seed or the 3 seed. The 2 and 3 seeds match up in the second round, and my guess is that's where the Grizzlies and the Warriors are going to be. And my guess is both those two teams get through the first round.
Oh boy!
I'm guessing they're going to have to play each other in
the
second
bad.
round of the playoffs.
That is bad because that team. Ja Morant is he is the real deal. Holyfield.
He is playing. He's playing out of his mind right now. He's jumping out of the building. The only thing that I'm worried about with that Grizzlies team is their age, and their whole starting lineup, barring Steven Adams, is very much on the younger side of the NBA. They're all 26, 25
That's what
or
makes
younger.
them scary.
Yes,
Joe.
You put him in a fourth quarter situation, 2 minutes left in the game.
Doesn't matter. This was the same thing the Warriors did. When Steph and Green and Clay, once they got to about that, their third season together, they were running teams out of the building because they're just so young and athletic. You can't the older guys, you can't keep up.
Yeah.
That's what frightens me. Who's going to cover Morant?
I think it's in the playoffs. I believe it's gonna be Ja Morant running the show, but I really think that what's gonna make their success like go a long way in the playoffs is going to be Jaren Jackson, because that dude is playing really well right now. He's scoring like over like 18 points a game, something like that. And those two combined have been just pushing Grizzlies to wins every single game. So I think, and they're both 24, 23 years old.
They're scary.
So they got young legs, and they're going to run the floor. The only thing I'm worried about is if and when they crack under pressure.
I mean,
in the playoffs.
That's we'll see. But boy, I'll tell you, I'm feeling if Ja's on my team, and it's down to under 24 seconds to take the last shot, I'm feeling really good.
Yeah,
I'm feeling also good in my defense. I mean, Morant is playing the way I had hoped Zion Williamson was going to play in New Orleans in terms of that vertical, in terms of just his ability to get from point A to point B.
And you know who that reminds me of? And you know why that it worries me that it reminds me of this person. He reminds me a lot of Derrick Rose. And the only thing I worry about with John Moran is him landing funny, and that'll be the end of his career.
Sure. And then he play for the Knicks.
Yeah. And the career goes downhill.
One thing to look out to for, I mean, obviously, maybe next season.
Yeah.
Boy, don't sleep on those Cavaliers.
Oh, of course. No. Once Sexton comes back, with All-Star Darius Garland, All-Star Jared Allen, Evan Mobley making his case for Rookie of the Year.
They're going to be a scary good team. And I got to say, Jared Allen is probably my favorite player in the NBA.
No, he's a pretty good.
From my hometown, from San Diego, California.
Yeah,
the guy, you saw him in the interview during the All-Star game. What he did with his money.
Yeah,
he built computers.
He looks like he just looks like he plays Smash Bros all day.
Yes,
that's all he does.
Yes.
No,
he's my favorite. He's going to be really good for the league.
No, but I totally agree, and I kind of like what the Cavaliers are doing. They're running or what their plan was to run two small, shifty, fast guys at the guard positions, and then get the three tallest people you can find and put them in the game.
Ev Mobley, folks, remember that name.
Yeah,
I'm not just saying that because again, another great Trojan. How many Trojans? My goodness,
Okay.
DeMar, and now we got Ev.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what though. I mean, that guy's ability is phenomenal.
His potential is freakishly high.
And I got to say, last year when SC made it to the Elite Eight, no small measure because of that man.
No,
I think which I got to tell you, going to March Madness, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm not as optimistic for my alma mater.
Yeah.
If he could get Sweet 16, I think that'd be fantastic.
Yes.
But the secret sauce was Evan Mobley.
Yeah. No, most definitely. And I would argue that he is quite a lot better than his brother.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And that's not to. I mean, Isaiah's fine.
Yeah, but Ev's off the charts.
But I mean, Evan Mobley is just incredible, and I think that's a good segue to our next topic of college basketball.
It's March Madness, Joe.
What's
Cooper.
going on right now? I have been watching conference games in class for the last 3 days. Even
what did they tell you? What did you learn from any of these pointless conference games?
Let me tell you.
Because remember, the only point of conference games is for someone from your conference who otherwise would not get into the dance to win the damn thing and get the automatic bid.
I will tell you what they taught me. They taught me that even though March Madness has not started, the games are still pretty incredible. Because I watched Texas A&M beat Florida in the last millisecond of overtime, and that was pretty incredible. And I just can't wait to see what this year will have in store for March Madness. And on the day we're talking, it seems UCLA will be playing USC tonight at 6 p.m.
It's 8:30, I thought.
Oh, 8:30. Yeah, no, you're right.
It's a late game.
6 p.m. last night. I actually watched some of the USC-Washington game last night.
Ugly win. Ugly win.
Yeah.
But if you can win and play that poorly, that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it is. So I think it would just be fun to go over the keys to the game. What do we think is going to happen? Predictions.
The keys to the game. Well, the keys to the game are basically, can Drew Peterson for the Trojans go off?
Yeah.
He's a 6'9" guard. I mean, when the kid's hitting it, he is hitting it.
Yes, he is.
He's because he's a 6'9" guard, he is a matchup nightmare. The one thing that the Trojans have that could serve them well, in spite of not having a player as good as Evan Mobley, is they're tall.
They are the tallest team in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is going, they're tall, and like Drew Peterson, he's a 6'9" guard. They're shifty and they're quick.
Yeah.
So they can guard the perimeter a lot better. Like, Johnny Tazane versus Drew Peterson. That's not good.
That is the defensive liability.
Exactly. That's not the switch you want. So, what I'm looking at is to see if Drew Peterson, if he can go off. I think the problem that the Trojans are having is that if you try to run the offense through Isaiah Mobley, that's the bad idea.
It's not going to work. I totally agree. I think on the UCLA side of things, Jaime Jaquez has proven that he's a consistent player. He's scoring over 20 a game.
He's an Iron Man.
He has been playing absolutely incredible for the Bruins lately.
Iron Man.
I think it's a given that he's going to play well tonight.
Yeah.
So I really think that this game falls on the shoulders of not Tiger Campbell either, because he's been pretty consistent as well. He's been playing pretty well over the past couple games. I think this really falls on Jules Bernard and Johnny Juzang to hit some shots, because
Bernard has disappeared from games.
He has in the past. Yes, but so far this conference championship, he had 19 against Washington State, which is pretty good. I'm worried about Johnny Juzang because ever since he's come off injury, he has been scoring single digits. He has not been as productive. So I think
that's concerning.
If Johnny Juzang can heat up from the floor,
that's really concerning, because I'll tell you what makes that Cronin team flow is that everyone's a threat.
Yep. No, and that's basically what they did last year.
Oh yeah.
In March Madness, when they would run that offense so slowly, they'd just bring it up the court and they'd know they were going to score on the possession. They just want to score slowly.
Yeah.
So
because anyone could score, but if Juzang, if he's still hurt, I mean that's that's going to be. I don't think it'll be a problem against SC, but that'll be a problem. Once they get to the dance and they get into the deeper rounds, where someone like, okay, you need Juzang, to get you 12 points, 10 points, and if you can't do that, you're going to have a lot of problems.
No, because I think what UCLA's done actually really well is that, even though Johnny Juzang, he was second in the Pac-12 for scoring at the end of the regular season, and his injury brought Jaime Jaquez into the light, and they figured out how to play without him, and I feel like they figured out how to develop other, they figured out how to develop other players' shots and get other people points on the board.
Sure.
And I think what they need to do now is they need to mesh Johnny back into that offense, because he was out for 2 or 3 games, and in those 2 or 3 games, I think they did a really good job of getting other people buckets. But I think what they need to really focus on for this next game and the games to come is getting Johnny back into the offense and getting him that microwave 3.
I'll tell you what, this is what it all comes down to. All these teams right now are trying to get their ducks in a row for the dance.
Yep.
Essentially, all these conference games, I don't care what anybody says. Nobody cares. These are all scrimmages. These are all scrimmages, and for you to figure out what you have to tweak or what you don't have to tweak. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's basically it. Yes, of course you want to win your conference championship, but you only really want to win it because it's an automatic bid.
Yes.
But beyond that, I can't think of a least consequential conference win than that in men's college basketball.
Well, it has to do with seeding a little bit.
It's nice. You get to hang a banner.
Yeah.
But nobody cares. All that matters at the end of it is where did you go in the dance?
Yeah.
That's it. You could not have won. I'll give you for example. SC last year. Obviously, we didn't win the conference championship. Colorado did, right?
Yeah.
But you get to the Elite Eight. So what can you say? We're top 8.
Yeah.
We're done.
Exactly.
The rest of it, it
doesn't matter.
With UCLA.
Yeah.
We're fine. We're top 4.
Top 4.
Doesn't matter that you played in. Yeah. It doesn't matter that it's who cares? Literally nobody cares who won the Pac Conference except Colorado. That's it. Colorado. Nobody else couldn't care less that you won that. It's really just about the dance. So I think a lot of stuff that you've been seeing, Joe, I think it's fascinating because what it is, it's like a simulation for what you're about to get into very soon.
Yes.
Except, in some matter of days, it's going to be unforgiving. You lose during your conference series, so what? It ain't the end of the season. Mm-hmm. Well, you even saw this with Coach K. When they lost North Carolina's final game.
Yeah.
The season's not over. Of course it's not over. It doesn't matter.
I mean, no, that was a tough game for Coach K, but it, like you said, it would mean a lot more if UNC had beat them in March Madness.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think what's going to be tough for some of these teams that have been playing so well over the regular season is that they're not conditioned for the tournament. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a potential for a lot of upsets this year.
Yeah.
I think I'm not going to say majority upsets, but I'm saying there's going to be a lot, like at least like 30%.
So, Joe, who's going to win the national championship?
Oh man.
I'm not going to ask you I'm not even going to ask you the Final Four because I don't know what the brackets are.
Yeah. I mean, nobody
but right
does.
now, who do you think? I'll bet. I'll put money on them. They may win the whole thing.
Well, here's what my thinking going into this is that, first of all, I do not see any of the 1 seeds right now going very far. Arizona, they're a great team. They could lose very easily. Mm-hmm. I think Purdue, that's an easy upset.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm not sold on.
I think that is a very easy upset. I think teams that I could see going far are those that really have their stuff together, and those teams are very recognizable from the start of the tournament. Like you can tell what teams are there to win and what teams are there to just make it to the NBA next year. And I think that some teams that could definitely make a deep run this year, I'm thinking Auburn could I think Auburn could definitely go far. I think Baylor definitely, we saw them lose in their conference playoffs.
Sure.
I think with that team that all won last year,
defending champs,
with new young guys, young talent, could definitely go far. The team that I really have no idea. I think there's a very no in between, either not losing the first round, but lose very early on or win the whole thing, is Gonzaga this year. Because I think we saw St. Mary's, they took them down because they took them down because they caught Gonzaga underestimating them.
Oh yeah,
and they caught them just basically flat out not wanting to play.
Yeah, USF gave them a good game.
They did give them a good game.
The Dons,
they're going to make the tournament this year.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And I'm
so excited.
I'm excited for them as well. I'm really excited to see them back in March Madness. But in terms of Gonzaga, I think Chet Holmgren is obviously going to the NBA next year. And I don't know necessarily what's on his mind as of right now. Mm-hmm. And it really matters, I think, what his goal is for this season. Because if his goal is to increase his draft stock, if that's his primary goal, I don't think Gonzaga is winning the national championship. I think they need to set their focus on winning everything. And that's the only way, because they most definitely have the talent to do it. They just need to make sure that everyone's head is in the game, because I think that's really what's going to kill him.
If he defers to Timmy, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Holmgren, I don't think he shouldn't be focused on that. He's clearly the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
He just moves in ways, that someone that big shouldn't be able to move.
Mm-hmm.
His only problem really is just his size.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have enough weight.
Yeah, no, but I think that'll catch up to him in a couple of years.
Well, Duncan. Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
very slight guy, but he was slight in a different way.
But yeah, he's got that sneaky strength.
Yeah, he's slender.
I'm pretty sure he weighs the same amount as Giannis.
Yeah. He's probably just very dense.
Yeah.
But you look at Holmgren, and he's about a good, I'd say, 30 pounds away from being the player he needs to be. 30 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
But he's a kid. He's like, what is he, 19, 18?
Yeah, he's 18, 19
Yeah,
years old.
he's not even into his body yet.
No.
So, I mean, but I could see him as being the number one because you saw that, he did that little swivel.
Yeah.
To drive into the lane. This is a 7-footer.
He's just got so many moves in his package, and he's 7'2", and he's not like one of those centers that are. He's not one of those stretch centers that are like shooting threes maybe like once or twice a game. He's getting up like 5 or 6 threes a game.
Yeah, it's scary. It's very, very scary. So I think but having said that, Kevin Durant on that Texas team.
Yeah.
He lost to USC. It all comes back to USC. But, and you say, well, who was on that USC team? Nobody. How did he lose? Because, it takes more than one person to win.
It most definitely does. And it also takes that mentality.
Yeah.
It takes you need to have that scrappy, I really want to win this game because this is my last year playing basketball ever mentality. And that's the beauty of March Madness. That is why it's so much fun to watch, because it's some of these guys' last chance.
It is, and this is the year where there's so. I think the seeding is top seeds. I think are pretty much meaningless. They're all interchangeable. Mm-hmm. There's no real. Maybe Gonzaga is a true number one, and everybody else, yeah, they could be a 1, but they could be a 2, they could be a 3, they could be a 4. To be perfectly honest, you look at some of these teams; they have the same records. It's not like anyone has a perfect record. There's nothing going on.
Yeah,
this could be the year where that VCU finally wins it all.
Oh, man. No.
Because there's so much parity right now. I don't see anyone who for sure is got a lock on this at all.
It's gonna be a crazy year for sure.
And I would go so far to say that this could be the year the Pacific Coast Conference.
The Pacific Coast Conference?
Gonzaga, right?
Yep. Yeah. Or West Coast.
West Coast, excuse me. West Coast Conference. This could be the year they win it all. And the team that wins it may not even be Gonzaga.
Could be St. Mary's. Could be USF.
It could absolutely be.
Could be, what was it, Santa Clara?
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. This is going to be a wild tournament. Not only because of the parity amongst all the teams that we've seen this season, but kids, these are kids. They're going to be coming in. We're going 2 years in the pandemic.
Yep.
World War III is unfolding. There's all this stuff that's happening. Don't think that this doesn't affect the players.
Yeah.
This is not. These are not the most ideal circumstances to be playing in the tournament, where you could just focus on your business. For a lot of these kids, I guarantee you, they've lost folks to COVID.
Yeah.
For a lot of these kids, the pandemic and isolation. This has been really tough. This has been really, really tough. Mm-hmm. I think it's really anyone's tournament. I would be so excited and gleeful if St. Mary's, if a St. Mary's won the whole damn thing.
That would be incredible.
Hey, if you could beat, and this is not the way you should think of these things.
Yes.
But in theory, if you can beat the Zags.
Yes.
And they have like over 20 wins.
No, they're playing really well this year.
Why not? Why not?
Why
you?
not? Why not?
Why not you?
Because they got. I watched the WCC final between Gonzaga and St. Mary's, which Gonzaga did end up winning, but not by all that much. It was a pretty close game throughout the game, and that's because St. Mary's plays this game of basketball that is like it's almost NBA like in that they swing the ball so fast that they just don't let the defense get set. Yep. And I think that's going to be super crucial especially in March Madness games where everyone is super jumpy and they're super energetic. If St. Mary's can get that ball moving, they most definitely have a chance.
Absolutely. And it's all about the matchups. Mm-hmm. They may never play the Zags again.
They may not.
But if you're good enough to beat the Zags, once, and then you're still good enough to give them a game, you might be definitely good enough to beat a lot of teams.
Yes. Yes, most definitely. No, I could see them.
I'm looking at you, Big Ten. Don't get cocky.
No, I think a lot of the Big Ten is actually super overrated this year. I think Wisconsin...
Absolutely.
Not the best team.
Absolutely. I would not be surprised, Joe, if when we get to the Sweet 16, if again 25% of the teams are from the West Coast Conference or the Pac-12.
Pac-12, yeah.
I would not be surprised at all because the level of athleticism in both of those leagues really is something.
It's insane because you get in all these big state schools, you get so many players from the same state, and on the West Coast, there are so many players that are uber athletic, and it's crazy the difference between players on the West Coast and players on the East Coast recently, because the players that have been recruited from West Coast schools have mostly gone from West Coast high schools have mostly gone to West Coast colleges. Like the leading scorer for University of Washington right now lived in Seattle his entire life. He went to junior college in Seattle and then ended up playing for University of Washington. Leading scorer of the Pac-12 now. It's all these guys from West Coast states that are playing absolutely incredible for the teams. We saw it last year when they were all playing like out of their minds, top 25%, or the 25% of the teams left in the Sweet 16. And I mean, in the Big Ten, Jaden Ivey, he's a great player. He's a great player. The rest of that team, I'm not so. The rest of that Purdue team, I'm not so sure about, and I just don't. There's so many what ifs for all those Big Ten teams, like Michigan. I think Michigan could come out of nowhere. They've been playing terribly this season, but I think they could most definitely make a run.
Absolutely. I think their problem is that they just don't have the athleticism.
Yeah.
But Juwan Howard knows what the hell he's doing.
Yes, he does.
So I think.
I mean, except for
when he loses his stuff, but Juwan Howard is a good coach. We'll see. I mean, this will be. This is not. If you're doing brackets, it's pick 'em. Just whatever feels right, because I don't even know.
No.
Who I would pick in any of these matchups. Like, I couldn't tell you right now. If you said, Arizona versus Purdue, I don't know.
I have no idea.
I should know, right? Because Arizona would be the 2 seed or the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Right? That should be obvious. Like, not obvious to me.
I mean, it's just, you got to see who makes it through those first 2 rounds first to see who the actual contenders are, because teams like Bryant University, who are playing in high school gyms.
God bless.
I for some reason watched their conference championship, and they have some dude who's scoring like 30 points a game. They're playing out of their minds recently. They won their conference tournament by like 40.
Yeah. Look at the UCs like Irvine and Santa Barbara. They get one guy like that.
Yeah. And
they end up an attorney. Like, why are they in there? Like, they have this one dude who's just phenomenal.
No.
LMU back in the day, Loyola Marymount, when they used to have, the Hank Gathers of the world down there. Look, I'll tell you, this is going to be a lot of fun just to watch.
Yes.
And essentially fill out your bracket and just forget about it, because it's going to be garbage.
I wholeheartedly agree.
This could be the year where, like, nobody in your pool wins because the winner of your pool did not pick the champion.
Yes.
No one did.
Nobody will.
This could be that year.
I definitely agree, and I want to end this off by saying that Loyola Chicago has won their conference tournament, and I would not bet against Sister Jean ever.
Oh,
so
yeah, but she could get them at least Sweet 16.
I definitely.
And there goes your bracket.
That's it. All right. Well, I think this episode might be coming to a close.
Yeah, I think that's all the people could take. Joe.
Yeah,
they can't handle it
anymore. I think so. But Oscar, it's been great having you on this episode. Hopefully, you come back for more.
Yeah, we'll come back for more, Joe. We'll come back. We'll check in.
Yeah.
Before we get into the Sweet 16, and go, what the heck happened?
Exactly. I think that's a great idea.
What the heck happened?
I think that's a great idea. So thanks again for being on this podcast, and that will do it for this episode. Thanks for listening.